Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into a topic that I think is really important for all pet owners out there. How vets talk to us about pet nutrition.
Oh, yeah. It's something that we think about a lot in the veterinary world.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all want to make sure our furry friends are eating right,
Right.
right? But sometimes those conversations at the vet's office can be, I don't know, a little tricky.
Yeah, definitely.
So to guide our deep dive today, we're looking at a fascinating research article from the Journal of the American Veterinary Medical Association.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's called Qualitative Analysis of Small Animal Veterinarian-Perceived Barriers to Nutrition Communication. And it was published in May of this year.
So it's fresh research, hot off the presses.
Exactly. And what I love about this particular study is that they didn't just do like a basic survey.
Right.
They actually used focus groups.
Interesting.
Yeah. They talked to 18 small animal veterinarians in depth about what makes those nutrition conversations so challenging.
Okay, so they really got into the nitty-gritty of those communication barriers.
Exactly. And, it's something that I think a lot of pet owners can relate to.
Yeah.
We know that nutrition is like super important for our pets.
Absolutely.
It affects everything, right?
Yeah.
Their energy levels, their coat, their digestion, even their mood.
It's foundational.
Exactly. And most of us, I think, see our vets as like the trusted experts when it comes to our pet's health.
Of course, they're the pros.
So we want their advice on what to feed our furry family members.
Makes sense.
But here's the thing, and this is what the study really highlights. Even though vets know that nutrition is crucial, it's not always discussed as thoroughly as it could be during those appointments.
That's surprising, isn't it?
It is, right? So the study actually identified 4 major barriers that get in the way of those conversations, and we're going to unpack each of them today.
Sounds good.
So barrier number 1, and this one might seem kind of obvious, is time.
Okay.
Vets are busy.
Oh, I know it.
They have like a million things they have to do in a very short appointment slot. So squeezing in a thorough discussion about nutrition can be, well, tough.
I can imagine.
And the vets in this study talked about how that limited time really forces them to prioritize. If a pet's coming in with like an emergency or a serious illness,
Right.
that's obviously going to take precedence over, a preventative chat about nutrition,
That makes sense.
even if they know that nutrition could be playing a role in the pet's overall health or their recovery.
It's like they're constantly triaging those needs
Yeah, right.
and having to make tough decisions about where to focus their attention.
Exactly. And even when vets do try to bring up nutrition, it often ends up being like a super quick check-in.
I see.
They might ask like, what are you currently feeding Fluffy? Or has anything changed with her diet recently?
Okay.
Maybe they'll do a quick assessment of the pet's body condition score, which is a way of seeing if they're at a healthy weight.
Right.
But that's often about it.
So not a lot of time for those deeper conversations about like specific ingredients or dietary recommendations.
Yeah, and that can be frustrating, right?
Definitely. Especially if you're coming in with like a lot of questions or concerns about your pet's diet.
Absolutely. So time is a major barrier, but it's not the only one.
Okay, what else is going on?
The second barrier that the study identifies is actually kind of a double whammy.
Okay.
It's misinformation, coupled with information overload.
Oh, wow. That's a tough combination.
Right. It's like we're bombarded with information from all sides these days, especially when it comes to health and nutrition.
Yeah,
And it's hard to know what to believe, even for us humans.
absolutely. So I can only imagine how challenging it must be for pet owners.
It is, right. The internet's full of well-meaning but outdated advice. And then there are those, like, downright dangerous myths circulating.
Yeah, like those fad diets that pop up every now and then.
Exactly. And for vets, it's not just about educating clients. They're often having to debunk those myths and correct those misconceptions, which takes even more time and effort.
It's like they're fighting an uphill battle against Dr. Google and that friend who swears by a certain homemade diet for their dog.
Yeah, exactly. And they talked about how that misinformation can come from a variety of sources, not just the internet.
Oh, interesting.
They mentioned breeders, pet store employees, even other well-respected professionals who might not be completely up to date on the latest recommendations.
So it's coming from all angles.
It is. So it's not just about a lack of information, it's about this overwhelming amount of conflicting information.
Right, which makes it hard to know what to trust.
Exactly. And even for veterinarians themselves, finding those clear, concise, evidence-based resources to share with clients can be a challenge.
They need reliable sources that they can confidently point to when making those recommendations.
For sure, and that actually ties into the third barrier that the study uncovered, which is pet owner apprehension.
Owner apprehension. What do you mean by that?
Even when vets do make a concerted effort to talk about nutrition, they often encounter resistance from pet owners.
Okay, so it's not just that vets aren't bringing it up enough.
Right.
It's also that sometimes owners aren't receptive to those conversations.
Exactly, and there are a few reasons for that apprehension.
Okay, I'm curious.
Sometimes it's because owners come into the appointment with preset beliefs about pet nutrition, often based on, you guessed it, misinformation.
Uh-huh. So it all circles back.
Right. They might be convinced that a certain brand is the best, or that a raw food diet is the only way to go. And it can be really hard to change their minds, even when presented with scientific evidence to the contrary.
I can see that happening.
And sometimes that apprehension comes from the sense that, well, the owner is the ultimate expert on their pet.
Right. They know their animal better than anyone.
Exactly. They know their pet's quirks and preferences, and they might resist advice that contradicts their own observations.
I think we all want to feel like we know what's best for our furry friends.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole weight issue.
Oh, yeah, that can be a sensitive topic.
Let's be real. Nobody likes to be told that their pet needs to lose a few pounds.
For sure.
Many owners are understandably hesitant to accept that their pet's weight might be a problem, even if it's coming from a place of concern.
It's a touchy subject.
It is, right. And the study found that some owners might even believe that vets are pushing certain brands for financial incentives.
Oh, wow. That must be frustrating for vets who are genuinely trying to help.
It is. It really undermines that trust that's so important in that vet-client relationship.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, we can't forget about the cost factor, which is a very real concern for many people.
Right. Those premium vet-recommended diets can be expensive.
They are.
Yeah.
Especially compared to those generic brands you see at the grocery store.
And that price difference can be a deal breaker for some owners.
So we've got time constraints, misinformation overload, owner apprehension, all creating these roadblocks to effective communication about pet nutrition.
Sounds like a recipe for frustration on both sides.
It can be. But don't worry, we're not going to leave you hanging with all these challenges.
Good, because I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed.
I know, right? But when we come back in part 2, we're going to dive into the potential solutions that this research article proposes.
Okay, I'm ready for some good news.
Me too. We'll talk about how we can work together, both vets and pet owners, to make those conversations about nutrition more productive and ultimately ensure that our pets are getting the nourishment they need.
Sounds like a plan.
It is. So stay tuned for part 2 of the deep dive.
I can't wait.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So in part 1, we really dug into those challenges that vets face when talking about nutrition with pet owners.
It can feel like an uphill battle sometimes.
Right, like you're trying to have this important conversation, but there are all these obstacles in the way.
Yeah, exactly.
But the good news is, this research article doesn't just highlight the problems.
Oh, good.
It actually proposes some potential solutions to bridge that communication gap and make nutrition a more prominent part of pet care.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's hear those solutions.
So the first solution they propose is, and it might sound kind of simple, better education.
Education, okay.
Yeah, and this applies to both veterinarians and pet owners.
So we all have some learning to do.
Exactly. It's a two-way street.
Got it.
We need vets who feel confident and equipped to discuss nutrition.
Yeah.
But we also need pet owners who are receptive to that advice and understand why it matters.
Makes sense. We got to meet in the middle.
Exactly. So when it comes to vets, the study emphasizes improving nutrition education in vet school itself.
Okay, starting at the source.
Right. And it's not just about teaching the science of nutrition.
Right.
It's also about teaching effective communication strategies.
Oh, so giving them the tools to explain things to us non-experts.
Exactly. So they not only understand the what's of nutrition, but also the how to talk about it with clients in a way that resonates.
Like how to bring it down in a way that we can actually understand and use.
Exactly. And it's not just a one and done thing either. Yeah. Continuing education is super important for vets to stay on top of all the latest research.
Oh, for sure, because nutrition science is always evolving.
It is. And then they need to be able to translate that research into practical advice for their clients.
So it's about keeping those skills sharp.
Exactly. And the article suggests making those continuing education opportunities more accessible.
Okay.
And more focused on practical skills that vets can actually use in their day-to-day practice.
So less theory, more real-world application.
Exactly. And if vets have those up-to-date resources and communication skills, they're going to feel more confident and empowered to actually bring up nutrition with their clients.
I can see how that would make a big difference.
The second solution the study highlights is all about resources.
Resources. Okay.
They call for developing and promoting those reliable, client-friendly resources that vets can share with pet owners.
So like giving vets a toolkit of evidence-based information on pet nutrition.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it like a go-to guide that they can hand out to clients.
Oh, that would be so helpful.
Right. It addresses those common questions about pet food, debunks those myths, provides clear guidance on choosing the right diet.
So it's about giving everyone that same solid foundation of information.
Exactly. And it would help to level the playing field when it comes to information.
And hopefully reduce some of that owner apprehension we talked about.
Right, because if you're getting conflicting advice from all these different sources, it's easy to get confused.
Oh, for sure.
And then maybe you start to question your vet's recommendations.
Yeah, it can erode that trust.
But if everyone's working from the same playbook, so to speak, it builds that trust and makes those conversations more productive.
That makes a lot of sense.
And it would also help with that whole time crunch issue.
Okay, how so?
If owners come to those appointments already armed with some basic knowledge from a trusted source, it frees up the vet's time to focus on those more individualized recommendations.
And to address any specific concerns that the owner might have.
Exactly. So it's a win-win situation. So we've got better education for both vets and pet owners.
Yeah.
We've got those clear, credible resources. What's next?
What else can we do to improve these conversations?
The third solution focuses on maximizing the entire veterinary team.
Okay.
The study suggests empowering vet techs to play a larger role in those nutrition conversations.
Vet techs, that's a great idea.
Right. They're already on the front lines of pet care.
They're the ones interacting with the animals and the owners?
Exactly. They're often the ones taking those initial histories, weighing the animals, getting their vital signs.
Right.
They're in a great position to observe the pet's overall condition and build rapport with the owners.
And they often have more time to spend with clients than the vet does.
Yeah, exactly. So by empowering techs to handle some of those initial nutrition assessments and counseling, it frees up the veterinarian's time for those more complex cases or procedures.
So it's about teamwork, using everyone's skills to their fullest potential.
Exactly. And the article even suggests the idea of vet tech-led nutrition-specific appointments.
Oh, wow, like a dedicated appointment slot just for nutrition.
Yeah, especially for things like weight management.
That's fantastic.
It gives those issues the dedicated attention they deserve and allows the vet tech to really focus on coaching the owner.
And on creating a personalized plan.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that nutrition is an integral part of preventative care.
And it requires a multifaceted approach.
So we've got better education, reliable resources, and a team-based approach.
That's a great foundation.
It is. But there's one more solution that the study mentions, and this one I'm particularly excited about.
Okay, lay it on me.
Technology.
Technology, of course.
The researchers suggest incorporating technology into those nutrition appointments and follow-up care.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
And this opens up so many possibilities.
Like what?
Well, think about it. We're already using technology for so many aspects of our own health and wellness, right?
Yeah, like fitness trackers and calorie counting apps.
Exactly. So why not apply those same principles to pet care?
Makes sense.
We could use telehealth platforms for those virtual check-ins.
Oh, that would be so convenient.
Right. Especially for those quick follow-up questions or adjustments to the plan.
Yeah, and it would save everyone a trip to the clinic.
And we could develop apps that help owners track their pet's weight loss progress.
Oh, I love that idea.
Or create engaging educational videos that reinforce those key concepts from the appointment.
So it's about making that information more accessible and engaging?
Exactly. It's about meeting people where they are, you know?
Yeah. In this digital age, we have to embrace technology.
Absolutely. So we've got improved education, enhanced resources, a team-based approach, and the power of technology.
That's a pretty comprehensive plan.
It is. But the question is, how do we actually take these ideas and make them a reality?
Right. How do we bridge that gap between theory and practice?
That's the million-dollar question, and that's what we'll be exploring in part 3.
Okay, I can't wait to hear it.
Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've been talking about all those roadblocks that get in the way of good conversations about nutrition at the vet.
It can be frustrating.
It can, But we've also uncovered some really promising solutions.
Right. Ways to actually make those conversations better.
Exactly. So now, let's get down to brass tacks.
Okay.
How can we actually put these ideas into action?
Right. How do we move from, like, theory to practice?
Exactly. And make nutrition a more integral part of, how we care for our pets.
Because at the end of the day, that's what matters.
It really does. So let's start with the vets.
Okay.
What are some things, concrete things?
Yeah. Actionable steps.
Yeah, that they can do to make those conversations about nutrition more effective.
Because they're the ones, with the expertise.
Yeah, right. They have the knowledge.
But sometimes it's about translating that knowledge into, practical advice.
Exactly. So one of the simplest things vets can do, but also one of the most impactful, is just to acknowledge the importance of nutrition in every appointment, even if it's just like a brief mention.
So making it part of the routine.
Yeah. Even a quick, how's Buddy doing on his current food? Or, have you noticed any changes in Bella's appetite recently?
Just opening that door.
Exactly. It normalizes those conversations.
Yeah.
And signals to the owner that, hey, nutrition is a priority.
It's not an afterthought.
Not at all. It shows that you, as the vet, are a resource for information and guidance.
Right. You're there to help.
And then, when there is time for a more in-depth discussion, those resources that we talked about earlier.
Oh, those toolkits.
Yeah, those handouts, websites, even apps can be so helpful.
It gives the owner something concrete to take away.
Right. Something to refer back to later.
And it reinforces what the vet's saying.
Exactly. And visual aids can also be really powerful.
Visual aids, okay.
Things like body condition score charts, for example. They can help owners actually see what a healthy weight looks like for their pet.
Because sometimes it's hard to tell just by looking.
It is, right? Like, is my dog a little chubby? Or is that just, fluff?
Exactly. So those charts can make it more objective.
They make those abstract concepts more tangible.
I like that.
And when it comes to, those more sensitive topics like weight.
Yeah, because nobody wants to hear that their pet needs to go on a diet.
It's tough, right? But it's important.
It is for the pet's health.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how can vets approach those conversations in a way that's, more tactful?
Yeah, more sensitive.
Yeah, more empathetic.
Because you don't want to make the owner feel like they're being judged.
No, not at all.
It's about being supportive.
It is. It's about framing that conversation in a positive way.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on the negative.
Yeah, like your dog is overweight.
Right. You could say something like, this weight loss plan can help Sparky have more energy for walks and playtime, or reaching a healthy weight can reduce the risk of joint problems for Bella later in life.
So focusing on the benefits.
Exactly. Shifting that focus from shame to empowerment.
Yeah, making it about what the pet can gain.
And making it clear that you're partnering with the owner.
We're in this together.
Exactly. We're working together to improve the pet's overall health and well-being.
It's a team effort.
And speaking of teams, don't underestimate the power of the entire veterinary team in these conversations.
Oh, right, the vet techs.
Vets should really encourage their techs to be actively involved in those discussions about nutrition.
And such a valuable resource.
They are. They often have more time to spend with clients.
Yeah, and they can answer those basic questions.
They build that rapport.
Yeah, they're often the ones who really get to know the pets and the owners.
Exactly. So it's about leveraging everyone's expertise.
Using everyone's strengths.
To provide that comprehensive care.
I love that.
Okay, so we've talked about what vets can do, but now let's flip the script and talk about what you, as a pet owner, can do to be a more proactive participant in those conversations.
Okay, because we have a role to play, too.
Absolutely. The first piece of advice might seem obvious,
Okay.
but it's so often overlooked.
What is it?
Come to your appointments prepared to ask questions.
Oh, don't just passively sit there.
Don't be passive. Don't assume that your vet will automatically cover everything you need to know.
Right, because they don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. So write down your questions beforehand.
So you don't forget anything in the moment.
Exactly. Because it's easy to get flustered when you're at the vet,
Oh, for sure, especially if your pet's not feeling well.
Yeah, and then you walk out, you're like, oh, shoot, I meant to ask about.
Right.
So write those questions down.
Be prepared.
And be specific.
Specific, okay.
Don't just ask, like, what should I be feeding my dog?
Yeah, it's too general.
Ask things like, what type of food is best for my pet's breed and age?
Okay.
Or, how much should I be feeding my pet to maintain a healthy weight?
Right. Or, what are some signs I should watch out for that might indicate my pet's diet needs to be adjusted?
Exactly. Those are great questions.
And then listen to the answers.
Yes. And just as importantly, be open to learning.
Open to learning. Okay.
Sometimes, those ideas that we have about pet food, they might not be entirely accurate.
Right, because there's so much misinformation out there.
There is. So be receptive to new information.
And trust your vet as a reliable source.
Exactly. They've got the expertise, they've got the knowledge, they've got your pet's best interests at heart.
That's what matters.
It really does. And it's also crucial to be honest with your vet about your pet's eating habits.
Okay, honesty is key.
And about any challenges that you're facing.
Right, because they can't help you if they don't know what's going on.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to admit if you're struggling to get your pet to eat a certain food.
Or if you're worried about the cost of a recommended diet.
Yeah, those are valid concerns.
And your vet might have some suggestions or solutions.
They might. They might be able to offer alternatives, or they might be able to work with you to find a plan that fits your budget.
It's about finding what works for both the pet and the owner.
Exactly. So open communication is key.
Don't be afraid to speak up.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
Right. You've got your vet and their team to support you.
They're there to help.
They want what's best for your furry friend.
Just as much as you do.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of pet nutrition.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has. Here's the takeaway message. Nutrition is vitally important for our pets' health and happiness.
It's the foundation of their well-being.
But those conversations about nutrition, they're not always easy.
There are challenges on both sides.
But by being proactive, by asking questions, by working together with our vets,
Yeah, that collaboration is key.
we can ensure that our beloved companions are getting the nourishment they need to thrive.
And live their best lives.
Exactly. And advocating for your pet's nutritional well-being, that's one of the best gifts you can give them.
It shows how much you care.
From Vet Neuro Jar. Keep those minds inspired, hearts light, and tails wagging.